In Creo Parametric, you can create 2.5D lattice features for additive manufacturing. Let's take a look at how to do that. To invoke the lattice command, you will go to the Engineering Overflow menu. Here it is down at the bottom. And we get the dashboard that opens up. I'm going to go to the Lattice Region tab, and now we can select our volume region. I like the option replace body with lattice. For this part, I just want to get rid of this entire middle section to make it lighter. So I will select it. And you can see a preview of the kind of lattice that we're getting. Right now, it is a beam-based lattice. I'm going to go to the 2.5D option. And with 2.5D, that is a prismatic shape like a triangle or a square or a hexagon or an octagon that will be extruded. You can see a preview of what we are getting. Right now it's way too big, and actually I'm going to be working over here a lot. So before I move any further, I'm going to turn off the pre-selection highlighting. If you go to File, Options, and then Selection, we can uncheck this, and that way I won't get the green flashing as I move my model or move my mouse over the model. Let me change some of these dimensions so that it is a little bit smaller. So we have X and Y dimensions for the size of the lattice. Let's zoom in over here. You can see that we also have a drag handle that allows us to change the skew angle. And when I make changes to the skewing angle, it is also reflected in the cell type tab. But I don't want something weird. Let's go back to a value of 0. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I don't need to see that drag handle anymore. And right now we are set up to use the square shape. If I go to the Cell Fill tab, you can see that we can also change the wall thickness. Right now it's using a wall thickness of 0.2. Let's make it a little thinner, 0.125. And then we can add some fillets in here by checking the box for round radius. And as soon as I do that, you notice that we get this warning here where it says, simplified representation is recommended for dynamic preview as the edge rounding can significantly slow down the geometry creation. What they're talking about here, let me close the warning, is that I have a drop-down list that allows us to go from full geometry to simplified, just so that the preview is a bit faster. And if I zoom in even more, you can see that now there are some little fillets on the corners. We can change those as well to make them smaller. Also, you have the option to add drain holes. And before I actually check that, I'm going to make these a little bit smaller. Let's change these to something reasonable for our cell size. I'll leave that spacing, I'll make it a little bit smaller. And if you check the box, again, it's just going to put these little slots on all the different faces if you needed water to be able to get out of here for whatever reason. But let's turn off those different options just so that it will not slow down my preview. And so there we have the square shape. Oh, let me close the Cell Fill tab. Now, if I want to see what this looks like, let's hit the check mark for the full regeneration, and you can see the structure that I will end up with. Let me go back to the lattice feature and edit definition, and let's go back from simplified to full geometry, hit the check mark. And there you can see how it looks a little different when we're using full geometry instead of the simplified representation. Let's select this surface and edit definition of the lattice feature to take a look at some of the other different shapes. Let's go to the Cell Type tab. Now we'll take a look at the triangle shape. I will leave the rest of the dimensions the same and hit the check mark. And so you notice in this particular situation, we end up with some dangling beams down at the bottom. I'll show you how to take care of that later. Again, I will edit definition. And by the way, you might notice I'm still not getting the pre-selection highlighting because I turned that off. Next shape that we'll take a look at is the hexagonal shape or hexagon shape. And then I will middle mouse button. And so there you see those shapes. And again, we have a bunch of dangling structures that really are not improving my integrity. Let's pick again, edit definition. And the last shape that we have over here is the octagonal. There's another one that's shown over here for stochastic, but it is grayed out. Currently, stochastic is only supported for the beam shape. I don't know if there are any plans to make this available for the 2.5D lattice types as well, but stochastic, that's a word that means random. So you end up with random points defining the sizes of your beam structures and sort of like altering the density as it appears in the volume. But again, here we have octagonal. Let me hit the middle mouse button. And that one took a bit of time to regenerate. So there you can see the shape that we're getting replaced in the middle. Let's edit definition and take a look at how, oops, I got the wrong feature. Let's then try to get the right feature. There we go. This time I got the lattice feature. One of the dangers of having pre-selection highlighting turned off. Let's go to the cell type. Let me change to the octagonal, and let's go to the lattice region tab to take a look at some of the other different options in here. So there's a checkbox where you can skip any failed geometry, any lattice geometry that fails to intersect or detach. Then you have a couple of controls for position and orientation. So the orientation is used primarily to specify the Z direction for the build. I'm not going to use that, but we can also choose the first cell position. By default, it tends to show right in the geometric center of the model. Let me turn on my coordinate system display. I have a little coordinate system that I create over here. I can activate the first cell position collector, and then I'm going to cheat and pick it out of the model tree since I have my pre-selection highlighting turned off. And there you can see how it is now locating the center of the hexagon at my coordinate system. And then we can hit the check mark to see what this looks like. And so down at the bottom, it looks okay. At the top, it looks terrible. So to take care of that, let's edit the definition of the lattice. I'm going to go to Lattice Region, and here we can check a box to create a shell around the lattice. And right now I'm just going to leave this empty. Let's change the thickness to be a little bit smaller. And we're going to shell to the inside of the structure, but you can also shell to the outside. I will hit the check mark. And then you can see that, okay, we have a box around the structure. Let's go to the View tab quickly and go to the section dropdown. And I can see that I want a section in the Z direction. This should be my default coordinate system. So there you can see how on the inside of the structure, let me show a hatch pattern. In the inside of the structure, we have the different hexagons with the shell basically around them. Let's hit the cancel out of the section command. Also, when we go back to the lattice feature, I will edit definition. Let's go to the Lattice Region tab. We can define excluded shell surfaces. So let me make sure that collector is active. I will pick this surface, hold down the control key and pick the back surface. It's always odd for me when I'm working with pre-selection highlighting turned off. So we've selected the two surfaces to remove from the shell operation. And that way you can see now I've got sort of like top and bottom surfaces for my lattice, and we can see on the inside. So we're ending up with a pretty good trade-off of reducing the mass but maintaining a certain amount of strength. Let me turn off my coordinate system display. And of course, you can always edit definition in order to change some of the different other options, which we'll take a look at in other videos. Again, you can change from full geometry to simplified, but we also have controls for the orientation like regular, quasi-radial, or herringbone. And again, we'll go into those when we make some other different changes to the feature and explore what we have. I hope you enjoyed this video. For more information, please visit www.creowindshield.com. If you learned something from this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like this video, please click the subscribe button and ring the bell to be informed when new videos are uploaded. Thank you very much.